Travis Wingate, so I got 20 minutes until I gotta start my laundry. Can I do a video within that time? Let's find out. In 1981, the church came out with the triple combination with the footnotes corresponding to the Bible that had been footnoted and given a topical guide and Bible dictionary. So they all harmonize with each other. Russell M. Nelson, if you're curious, is the only one who tried to claim that it was the fulfillment of Ezekiel 37. What a dumbass. What was required in the Doctrine and Covenants was to decode many of the names for places and things and people. So you can go to list of code names in the Doctrine and Covenants on Wikipedia, and it has a whole article on it, as they've tried to, they've put what the curriculum missionaries who were assigned to that case, overseen by Bruce R. McConkie and, was it Ballard? I don't think it was Packer. But Bruce R. McConkie blew away Packer, or Ballard, in knowledge. Whoever the other guy was. But as you've noticed from my videos, Bruce R. still dumb in comparison to what I've produced as fruit. So here you can see that, for example, Neil K. Whitney was identified by the curriculum department as Ahashda. Edward Partridge was Elam. Originally, Lyman White was Benimi, but reinterpreted by Orson-Pratt as Mine Elders in 1876. And then they're trying to claim that it was the Hebrew word for my sons. Also, Charles B. Thompson is claimed for that. So, Enoch, Joseph Smith, Gezelem, Joseph Smith, that comes from the Book of Mormon. If you want to find that passage, you don't have the computer program, Gezelem. Oh, I spelled it wrong in the... Interesting. So, Alma 37:23, and the Lord said, I will prepare unto my servant Gezelem a stone, which shall shine forth in darkness unto light, that I may discover unto my people who serve me, that I may discover unto them the works of their brethren. And thus, I've been claiming this whole time, and I have a whole playlist dedicated to it, of the Book of Mormon being encoded, just like the Doctrine and Covenants. And so, therefore, you shall keep these secret plans of their oaths and their covenants from the people, and only their wickedness and their murders and their abominations you shall make known unto them, and teach them to abhor such wickedness and abominations and murders. And so, Joseph Smith was well aware of the threat to America and encoded the Book of Mormon. It was actually his father. Joseph had nothing to do with the Book of Mormon. That's the code names. They purposely had to encode everything that they did because of the threat to their lives. And if you're unfamiliar with my real LDS history playlist and the publication that I did on Amazon and the subsequent videos to update with the Real Harmony, Pennsylvania, and Cooper Smith Shop that need to be understood with that information. You'll understand. And so, yeah, everything's encoded. And so when they released the new scriptures, they decoded as much as they could figure out. And I've gone over that they didn't catch everything. And so I'm going to go over in less than 15 minutes the ones pertaining to the prophecy that Joseph's organization will fall into apostasy. And, whoops, let me go back to 14. And the church would be apostate and need to be restored, just like the government of America. So in section 1, starting in verse 14, and the arm of the Lord shall be revealed, and the day cometh, and so yeah, this is after Joseph Smith, that they who will not hear the voice of the Lord, neither the voice of his servants, and that's Joseph Smith and all the scriptural prophets. It is not Brigham Young, because Brigham Young is not the true successor. He's a false, fraudulent, murderer, usurper. And so don't interpret the current prophets and apostles in this listing by Joseph Smith, because they were not in existence. Neither give heed to the words of the prophets and apostles shall be cut off from among the people. There will be a time where there will be a big excommunication. 15. For they. Who's they? Let's see if there's any clues. Have strayed from mine ordinances. Where are the Lord's ordinances? What are they? Oh, the temple. Oh, who's allowed in the temple? Regular heathen in the world? No. Only Mormons are allowed in the temple. And so only Mormons can stray from mine ordinances and have broken mine everlasting covenant. Regular people can't do this. Only Mormons do this. So right there, Joseph is prophesying without having to decode anything. The Mormons are going to be in apostasy, and the church will need to be restored, but it needs to be torn down and destroyed. 16. They, now we know it's Mormons. Mormons seek not the Lord to establish his righteousness, but every Mormon walketh in his own way, and after the image of his own God. Read, ponder, and pray, and whatever revelation you get is whatever truth is for you. Right, Mormons? Whose image is in the likeness of the world, whose substance is that of an idol, which waxeth old, and shall perish in, oops, they forgot to decode this word, Babylon. Babylon's already perished. Long time ago. This is a code word, just as Babylon in the Book of Mormon is a code word. Even Babylon the Great, which shall fall. See, Joseph Smith even knows it's not Babylon. He's encoding this. See, the Doctrine and Covenants is by Joseph Smith, but I've already done the video where Joseph Smith Sr., Father Joseph, is the Lord speaking to Joseph. Wherefore I, the Lord, Joseph Sr., knowing the calamity, he saved America. He knows the threat to America that will come again. And that's why they wrote the Book of Mormon, knowing the calamity which should come upon the inhabitants of the earth, called upon my servant Joseph Smith, Jr., and spake unto him from heaven, and gave him commandments. All encoded is Joseph Smith, Sr. Alright, section 45. I've been doing that one lately. I need to do 46 first and go back. And so here we have, and it shall be called the New Jerusalem, a land of peace, a city of refuge, a place of safety for the saints of the Most High God. And the glory of the Lord shall be there, and the terror of the Lord shall also be there, insomuch that the wicked shall not come unto it, it shall be called Zion. It shall come to pass that among the wicked, every man that will not take up sword against his neighbor must needs flee unto Zion for safety. That's not what I was looking for. Looking for the one that corresponds with, what are these wounds in thy hands and thy feet? And it is actually, there it is. And so here again we have something that's not been decoded. 51. Well, let's go back to 49. And the Lord shall utter his voice, and all the ends of the earth shall hear it, and the nations of the earth shall mourn, and they that have laughed shall see their folly. And the calamity shall cover the mocker, and the scorner shall be consumed, and they that have watched for iniquity shall be hewn down and cast into the fire. And then here's 51, where they forgot to decode this word, this name of a group of people, and I've already told you who it is. And then shall the Jews, it's not the Jews, it's the Mormons, shall the Mormons look upon me and say, what are these wounds in thy hands and thy feet? Joseph Smith is taking this from Zechariah that I did the video earlier this morning, and he's trying to bridge the gap between what Zechariah was talking about and what Mormons currently understood coming from Christianity. He had to figure out a way to bridge the gap. Then shall they know that I am the Lord. For I will say unto them, these wounds are the wounds which I was wounded in the house of my friends. I am he who was lifted up. I am Jesus who was crucified. I am the Son of God. And then shall the Mormons weep because of their iniquities. Then shall they lament. The Mormons lament because the Mormons persecuted their king. Not their God, their king. See how Joseph is transitioning? And then shall the heathen nations be redeemed. Sin shall be bound. Parable of the 10 virgins be fulfilled. So now let's go to section 85 as we're down to 5 minutes. And it shall come to pass in verse 7, after Joseph Smith, that I, the Lord God, will send one mighty and strong. And I told you this corresponds to the prophecy of this person in the latter days to Samson. And so yes, he's scepter of power, he's the King of Kings. But here it is again, Mormons, to set in order the house of God. This isn't necessary, right? The church has been restored through Joseph Smith. What is Joseph Smith saying? That the house of God will need to be set in order in the future. And so it goes on to continue to talk about the excommunication of those who are of the high priesthood. So cut off because of their apostasy, and their children, their families gone. Alright, and then one more. Section 103. 15. Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Therefore I will raise up unto the Mormons, my people, a man, who shall lead them like as Moses led the children of Israel. For ye are the children of Israel and of the seed of Abraham, and ye must needs be led out of bondage by power and a stretched out arm. As your fathers were led at first, even so shall the redemption of Zion be. Blah, blah, blah. Verily, verily, I say unto you, that my servant Joseph Smith, Jr., is the man to whom I liken the servant to whom the Lord of the vineyard spake in the parable which I have given unto you. He makes it very clear. You're not looking for Jesus Christ from the gospel of Christ. It's not him. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that Joseph Smith was put as the founder of was to go into apostasy, was to collapse. And it is prophesied by Joseph Smith to be restored. And so it will require somebody who knows Egyptian, who knows Paleo-Hebrew, who knows the doctrine, who knows the coding. Who will fulfill all the prophecies. And I've been going over that with you. So today's the day that the church should be destroyed. It'll be at the close of business today, most likely. Which means I'm not going to find out until tomorrow morning. And the church will find out first. But they have the symbol of Lucifer all over Temple Square. At the door of the Salt Lake Temple. At the Seagull Gate, pointing to the state capitol, signifying and symbolizing they control the government. And it, as Joseph Smith said, shall fall. So yes, the great and abominable church Joseph was using as coding for the church that takes over his organization.